All right, we should be live for another question period. Let me just pull up the chat. Make sure everything is good to go. The usual. All right. We have some news, obviously, as we usually do before we get into question period. Google admits censorship under Biden administration. Promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. We saw a couple of these accounts get unbanned and then they were instantly banned. Again, looks like they're not following through with every single channel. But the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. The Biden administration's censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Public debate should never come at the expense of relying authorities. Overall, they admitted it. This is a massive dub. Now we know the truth. We already knew what was happening under the Biden administration, as so many people called out time and time again. But now it's out there. Confirmed. Speaking of America, the White House, all of that, we have a president wall, this new wall of each and every president over the years. And Joe Biden, just wait for this one. Everybody's up there. Obama, of course. Trump, of course. And the auto pen Joe Biden. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of trolling at the White House. A little bit of trolling. On top of that, more White House news, believe it or not, because there's a lot going on right now. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth calls a rare urgent meeting. Hundreds of generals and admirals all coming together for this massive meeting, apparently, that is taking place. People are suggesting or bringing up the idea of it could be a mass firing of the generals who have weakened their military over the years and, added all these insane policies in this, that, and the fourth. Or it could be this claim that Russia has made that Russia claims NATO has declared war against them. Now, let's get into this a little bit here. This is a Newsweek article. Kremlin makes new claim that NATO is at war with Russia. What to know? NATO and EU members have not formally declared or entered the war. Lavrov, he is a minister in the Russian government, accused NATO and the EU of declaring war on Russia via Ukraine. He claimed both alliances are directly participating in the conflict. The statement was made on Thursday on a Telegram board. Russia has previously framed Western support for Ukraine as aggression. So, I don't know where this is going to go from here. I don't even know. Like, this just came out literally an hour ago, not even 40 minutes ago, roughly. So as this develops, I will try and get as much news as possible. But moving onward, the UK has officially taken the first steps for government-issued digital ID. Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. A permanent digital ID system in the UK.
Breaking news now. Digital ID will be made law for all adults in an effort to tackle small boats. Downing Street believes that a mandatory ID card system will help stop illegal immigrants working. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Mari Aurora. Mari, what more do we know about this?
Yeah, well, Gareth, this is interesting because this is something that has...
All right, well, we're not going to listen to this entire thing, but the idea that they are implementing this, it's not a good sign, ladies and gentlemen. The first of many steps here of government overreach and a digital ID. Not good, not good. Canada's probably going to implement a system like that very soon, if I had to guess. And Mark Carney, here's his itinerary. He's not going to be here. He's not going to be in Parliament today. He is departing for London, the United Kingdom. He did that 55 minutes ago, according to this itinerary here. So he went from Mexico to New York City, now to London, the UK, where they just implemented a digital ID. Very interesting stuff going on right now. So we are going to get directly into the House of Commons proceedings, which will lead us into question period. I want to thank everybody for joining. Let's get right into it.
Food prices are closely linked to the cost of transportation. Electric transport doesn't exist for trucks in Canada, so they use gas and diesel. Obviously, it brings up the cost of food.
Debate, prise de débat. So the member for Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan is rising. I have to inform him that at 2 p.m. he'll be cut off for Standing Order 31 statements and question period. So he'll have under 4 minutes, at which time he'll be cut off. So like the Yiddish proverb goes, he will have to weigh his words, not count them. The honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I just want to let you know that I will be splitting my time, although my time will be split. Mr. Speaker, thank you for letting me speak today on what is a very important issue to the people of the riding of Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan. That issue is that the Canadians would judge the Prime Minister by the cost at the grocery store. Before I continue, this is the first opportunity that I've been able to speak in the House, and I would like to thank the people of Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan for their confidence in sending me back to Ottawa to be their voice. The riding of Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan is 5 square kilometers bigger than Switzerland. They may have better chocolate, but we've got better cows, we've got better hockey players, and we've got better maple syrup. I would like to thank my campaign team who helped me cover this vast territory. Scott Pettigrew, Kyle Lilly, Avery Beckler, who showed up every single day, and he may missed a couple of classes at high school, but don't tell his mom. Barbin Miklaboldis, Ken Schwam, Karen Bishloff, and numerous others who door knocked, put up signs, and went from community to community, door to door, knocking and putting on events. I also want to thank my 2 beautiful daughters, Saoirse and Ailey, who are ages 13 and 10, and are asking good questions about democracy, sacrifice, and why does Daddy do what he does. I know they don't like me saying Daddy anymore at that age, so I have to start using Dad, and why I represent the people of Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have continued their disastrous record of making Canadians poorer and food more expensive. Canada's core inflation for August came in at 50% higher than the Bank of Canada's target as deficits ballooned and the cost of living. But it doesn't stop there. Food inflation came in at 0.75% this year over last year, which is 70% over the Bank of Canada's target. As a result, food banks gave Canada, this Liberal government, a D on poverty and food insecurity. The Prime Minister's spending and deficits today aren't as bad as Justin Trudeau's. No, Mr. Speaker, they're worse. And today's PBO report made that abundantly clear. All his extra spending on bureaucratic administration and high-priced consultants is costing Canadians higher debt, taxes, and more inflation. Mr. Speaker, I shared about the vast size of my riding of Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan. It is truly blessed with an abundance of potash, which is fertilizer, for those that don't know, railway lines that take goods to market, a first-class military base that trains the next generation of pilots, and home to the world-famous Snowbirds Air Demonstration Team. But it is also home to fertile lands that is considered the breadbasket of Canada. And we can't have a breadbasket without farming. The challenges and extra costs facing our agriculture producers have been piled on and on and on by this Liberal government. Costs are then passed on to consumers. I would like to share a broad overview of what Canada's agriculture section is facing.
Point to stop for a question period and statements. Yes, but I think that's the best breaking point because you'll be able to launch after a question period. The honourable member will have 6.5 minutes after a question period. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président. As parliamentarians, we carry the voices of our communities while carrying our own. Mine is that of a Palestinian Canadian. I am the son of parents who never had a country they could truly call their own until they became Canadian. Growing up, they would speak of the immense suffering our people endure, fearing it would be forgotten. But they also spoke of their immense pride in being Canadian. Only days ago, they were once again reminded of that pride. Canada's recognition of Palestine is historic. It affirms that we lead not only in words, but in action. Et si la reconnaissance n'est pas une fin en soi.
Generations of Canadians have worked very hard to make this happen.
Recognition is not the end of the road, but it is an important affirmation that all peoples deserve to live freely, with dignity, self-determination, and above all else, hope. This is Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Mr. President.
The honourable member for Bowmanville, Oshawa North.
I have a message today for every young man across Canada. Everyone who feels anxious about his future because he works hard and can't get ahead. Everyone who wonders if the struggle is worth it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You are not the problem in this country. In fact, you are a big part of the solution. You deserve better leadership in Canada. You deserve a government that empowers you to live up to your potential. And the reality is that that's not the case right now. You deserve better, and a brighter future is possible. A future where you are valued and encouraged, a future where you are treated like a priority. We need you, and we need you to speak clearly, tell the truth, organize, and be undeniable. We need you to help us restore the North.
The honourable member for South Surrey, White Rock.
Shout out Jamil Giovanni. He's always a real one.
And the President of Ukraine co-chaired the high-level meeting of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children, held during the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Thousands of Ukrainian children are victims of Russia's crimes, where some of the most vulnerable populations are being targeted. Russia first abducted and deported them, and now it seeks to erase their culture, identity, and their bond with family. As a parent and grandparent and a child of Ukrainian refugees, I cannot imagine the horror these families are experiencing. We have no time. We have to ensure they are returned as soon as possible.
All right, everybody, we got something sort of interesting here. So, after the big announcement that apparently Russia and NATO are at war right now, according to Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, NATO and the EU, through Ukraine, have declared war on Russia and are directly participating. We've just seen a massive decrease in crypto here, Bitcoin, literally dropping off by thousands right after this announcement. I'm going to keep up on this, but big things are happening right now, guys.
Shirt Day began with Phyllis Westad in Williams Lake, British Columbia, also the hometown of my seatmate, who at just 6 years old had her new orange shirt taken away on her first day of residential school. That shirt has become a symbol of what was stolen and a reminder that every child matters. But reconciliation cannot be marked by a single day. It's about wearing orange, yes, but also about listening, learning, and committing action every day and ensuring that no Indigenous child should ever again feel invisible, neglected, or unworthy. Let us remember the children.
Excuse me, l'honorable député de Berthier-Masquinongé. Moi, je vous entends même pas là pour l'instant.
We don't have any interpretation into French. We're not hearing interpretation. Is interpretation working now?
Now, is it, it's good? Okay, if the member could start from the top, please. I apologize for that.
Thank you, Speaker. September 30th is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day. We remember the Indigenous children who were taken away through the residential school system, and we honor their families and communities who continue to feel the weight of that loss. Orange Shirt Day began with Phyllis Webstad in Williams Lake, British Columbia, also the hometown of my seatmate, who just at 6 years old had her new orange shirt taken away on the first day of residential school. That shirt has become a symbol of what was stolen and a reminder that every child matters. But reconciliation cannot be marked by a single day. It is, yes, about wearing orange, but also about listening, learning, and committing to action every day and ensuring that no Indigenous child should never again feel invisible, neglected, or unworthy. Let us remember the children who never came home, honor the survivors who carry those stories, and work toward a future where justice, respect, and dignity are the foundation of true reconciliation. And let us say today and every day, never again.
There you go.
The Honourable Member for Orléans. Mr. Speaker, 50 days ago, our magnificent green and white flag, a symbol of Franco-Ontarians, was raised for the first time in Sudbury. Today, along with the Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture and the Minister for Official Languages and colleagues from across Canada, we proudly raise the flag on Parliament Hill. Ontario is home to the largest Francophone population outside Quebec. I'm proud to be the Member of Parliament for Orléans, which is a vibrant Francophone community rich in linguistic diversity and is also home to the Mouvement d'implication francophone d'Orléans. Every day I see how proud my constituents are to live, work, learn, and thrive in French. On this historic day, I join Franco-Ontarians across the province in celebrating our beautiful language. May our flag continue to fly proudly for another 50 years. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Kapuskasing, Timmins, Mushkegowuk.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, September 25th is a special day for Franco-Ontarians. 50 years ago, we unveiled the first ever Franco-Ontarian flag. I'd like to quote Maurice Duplessis. He said, "To celebrate our flag, a flag is a symbol. A flag is a sign of unity and togetherness. A flag is a way to show our pride. A flag shows our desire to live and survive. A flag says that we are someone, that we come from people before us, that we want to live our lives respecting the rights of each and every other person. And we want all of our rights, freedoms, and prerogatives respected too. That's what our Franco-Ontarian flag means to us."
L'honorable député de La Prairie.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie, Atatikin.
Of tuberculosis advocates and survivors are here in Ottawa today. They've come from across Canada and across the world to raise awareness among parliamentarians about the ancient infectious disease that remains the deadliest in the world. Their tireless effort have pushed government worldwide to act on TB. Despite the successes, TB still claims the lives of over 1.2 million people each year. Here in Canada, TB disproportionately affects Indigenous communities, as we've seen with recent outbreaks in Nunavut. Canada has been a global leader in our fight to end TB. Our investment in the global funds have helped to save countless lives, and Canadian researchers have helped to transform the way we can detect and treat TB. As the United States pulls back from our world, Canada's continued leadership is critically needed to end this deadly disease. Join me in thanking the advocates here today who are working tirelessly to achieve this work.
The Honourable Member for Mission, Matsqui, Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, this Saturday, Canada takes the field against England in the Women's Rugby World Cup final. This is the biggest rugby match in the history of Canada and the women's game. These athletes have shown true ingenuity, crowdfunding to reach the World Cup and competing on a budget that pales in comparison to other nations. Canada sometimes play unconventionally, generating opportunity in space with a speed, accuracy, and discipline the world has never seen before. In their historic semi-final win over the New Zealand Black Ferns, I'm told Canada played with the fastest average ruck speed of any team, men or women, ever. Behind this team stands an incredible coaching staff led by Kevin Rouet. And no matter what the outcome on Saturday, Canada is proud and we are behind you all the way. You have established yourselves as world leaders in rugby. You have inspired boys and girls across Canada to pick up a rugby ball and to run with it. So on behalf of Canada's Parliament, go Canada go! Allez Canada!
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Today is October 1st, International Seniors Day. Let's think about those who built Quebec. Let's find solutions to problems that affect them especially, such as mistreatment and loneliness. They're also facing a rising cost of living. That's why we will table a bill to enhance OAS for Canadians aged 65 to 74. We want to put an end to age-based discrimination. Inflation directly penalizes those living on a fixed income. We will also take action so that those who want to continue to work will not be penalized. Our social safety net is supposed to give seniors a dignified life and retirement, and today is the best day to remember that. The Honourable Member for Ottawa-Vanier-Gloucester. Mr. Speaker, as a Franco-Ontarian, I raise the Franco-Ontarian flag. We are very proud. Today we're celebrating the 50th birthday of the Franco-Ontarian flag. It's a powerful symbol of our identity, our pride, and our contribution to Ontario's cultural richness. As a proud Franco-Ontarian, I commend all communities and all Francophiles who contribute to enriching our culture and showcasing our identity. We need to rise and celebrate. We need to take our place and keep it today and tomorrow. Long live the Franco-Ontarian community. Long live the Francophonie. Happy Franco-Ontarian Day.
The Honourable Member for Vernon Lake Country, Monashee.
This Liberal government has failed to do its job by letting the Canadian Food Inspection Agency order the slaughter of a herd of ostriches with no transparency or communication to farmers or Canadians. Since the beginning, and apparently unlike the CFIA, I've actually met with the farmers and raised their concerns publicly. These farmers love their animals. Senior academics are begging for access to potential research on diseases. Canadians are traveling from all over across the country in outrage. This communication fiasco has been allowed to escalate into a crisis, and now tens of thousands of Canadians have raised their voices on the issue, wanting to know why. Why isn't the Liberal Agriculture Minister forcing the CFIA to properly retest these 400 ostriches? Why would the Liberal Health Minister want to throw away valuable potential medical research? The nation is watching and Canadians demand answers. Why won't you explain yourselves?
Just remind the member that it's through the chair. I don't know that much about ostriches. The Honourable Member for Egmont.
Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of this year, Atlantic Canada has experienced a troubling increase in gender-based violence. Women and girls across our region continue to endure violence, often from current or former intimate partners with tragic consequences. This ongoing crisis highlights a harsh reality. When circumstances become difficult, women often suffer. Breaking down the barriers that prevent women from living safely and freely is more urgent than ever. Ensuring security and justice is essential not only to protect lives, but to create conditions where women can fully participate and contribute to society. Building on what my colleagues have shared earlier this week, we must recognize and support the strength of survivors and the dedication of those working tirelessly to address this issue on the ground. As we continue Gender Equality Week, I want a world where my nieces and all women and girls can live free of fear and can thrive.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar this Liberal Prime Minister spends comes right out of the pockets of Canadians. The Parliamentary Budget Officer says the deficit this year is going to be at least $26 billion higher than the projection just 6 months ago. These money-printing deficits drive up the cost of everything we buy, and that is why we have an inflation tax. And nowhere is this more evident than at the grocery store. In August, food inflation outpaced all other inflation by 84%. Food prices have climbed 48% faster in Canada than in the US. Under the Liberals, Canadians are paying 33% more for beef sirloin, 26% more for soup, and 20% more for sugar. The Daily Bread Food Bank warns visits will increase millions above last year, and Canadians are going without meals. The Prime Minister said he would be judged by the price of groceries. Well, the verdict is in. He's a high-promising, low-delivering failure.
The honourable member for Prescott Russell Cumberland.
Mr. Speaker, today we are celebrating Franco-Ontarian Day. This year is particularly special as we're also marking the 50th anniversary of the Franco-Ontarian flag. This flag remains a living symbol of pride and unity for Ontario's Francophone community. This week in Prescott Russell Cumberland, people are celebrating this historic day with flag-raising ceremonies and celebrations in Castleman, in Rockland, Hawkesbury, Saint-Albert, Embrun, and Alfred. And so many other celebrations have occurred in all communities in the riding. Each of these events showcases French language and culture. To this wonderful community, thank you for enriching the National Capital Region, Ontario, and all of Canada. Happy Flag Day and Happy Franco-Ontarian Day.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
This Liberal Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead, Canada has the fastest shrinking economy, the second highest unemployment, the worst household debt, and the most expensive housing. Another Liberal broken promise. He told Canadians to judge him by the grocery prices, but food costs is rising faster today than when he took office. Another Liberal broken promise. He promised build, baby, build, and 500,000 new homes a year. Yet his own housing agency says home building will actually fall by 16%. Another Liberal broken promise. He vowed nation-building projects at unimaginable speed. Well, 6 months later, all he's done is take credit for other people's work. Another Liberal broken promise. He promised to spend less and invest more, but taxpayer-funded spending is up 8%, the inflationary deficits are doubling, and $63 billion has fled this country. A record outflow and another Liberal broken promise. Mr. Speaker, Canadians see the pattern. He doesn't just break promises, he's breaking Canada.
The honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate one of our country's oldest friends and allies, Ireland. The ties that bind our two countries are many: economic, historical, cultural, and emotional. In 1866, the first transatlantic cable between Europe and North America connected Canada and Ireland. Irish Canadians helped build our country, and during challenging economic times, Canada and Ireland have stood together to ensure our nations thrive. The resolution of the Troubles in Northern Ireland was a result of a common desire for peace and hard work, and Canada was there, leading to the historic Good Friday Agreement signed almost 30 years ago. Canadian General John de Chastelain helped steer that process and was responsible for getting the guns out of Northern Ireland. Today, we welcome the Irish Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, to Ottawa to join with Canada in our ongoing efforts to make the world a better place. Today's meeting is not just a meeting between two great countries, but it's a meeting between two great friends. Thank you for coming to Canada. You are always very welcome here.
Oral questions, questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
All right, here we go, guys. Question period.
With another pointless and costly trip, the Prime Minister is fleeing scandal, inflation, and crime, and problems related to the Public Safety Minister here at home. Mr. Speaker, this minister has lost track of 600 criminals here in Canada. He broke the promise to hire 1,000 CBSA officers and admits that the program to hassle farmers and hunters will not help Canadians. When will the Prime Minister start protecting Canadian lives and fire that minister? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the leader for his question. Yes, indeed, the Prime Minister is traveling around the world to build a strong economy. And yes, this government will come up with a generational program to build Canada, a budget to grow Canada, to create jobs all across Canada. Instead of criticizing, the Conservative leader should stand up and congratulate the Prime Minister, who is building relations, building a stronger country, and that is what we are doing on this side of the House, is building a future for Canadians. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Other costly and useless photo op tour to escape the inflation, criminality, housing price crisis, and of course the scandal around his public safety minister. That minister who lost track of 600 foreign criminals on our streets, broke the Liberal promise to hire 1,000 new border guards, and was caught on tape admitting that the Liberal plan to harass farmers and duck hunters has nothing to do with saving lives and everything to do with preserving the Prime Minister's political fortunes. Will the Prime Minister put Canadian lives first and fire this minister?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, it's another day, but it's the same old Conservative, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we're about building a future. We're going to present a budget that's going to build this nation, Mr. Speaker. It's going to be a generational investment in our future. We're going to build a country. We're going to build jobs. We're going to create the opportunities for young people in this country. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7, and we hope the Conservative will vote for this budget because it's about building our nation, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My mother and people like her actually built this nation, and today is my mom's birthday. Thank you. And it reminded me that even when my school teacher parents were struggling, we always had delicious, nutritious meals, meat and potatoes on our plate, and we had to eat all the broccoli. But when I called her today for her birthday wishes, she said grocery prices are terrible. I didn't have the heart to tell her, Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister's bait and switch is the culprit. Will the Prime Minister give my mother the ultimate birthday gift and end all Liberal taxes on groceries?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
I wish the member opposite's mother a happy birthday. But I'm also very sad to tell her that her son voted against the school nutrition program. And Mr. Speaker, I think she'd be really disappointed because when I was there and I spoke to teachers and volunteers and met with students, they talked about how this healthy nutrition break for their students helped those students reach the goal of careers like architect, teacher, engineer, tradesperson.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, my mother, as a substitute teacher, sometimes taught math, and she would not be happy with the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report today, Mr. Speaker, which reveals that this Prime Minister is more expensive than even Justin Trudeau. The PBO reports that the deficit is now 2/3 higher than the one Trudeau left behind. Over the next 5 years, this Prime Minister will add an amazing $300 billion of additional inflationary debt, twice what Trudeau would have added, all of which will add to the cost of living for Canadians. Why is it how is it possible that any prime minister could have been more expensive than Trudeau?
L'honorable ministre des Finances. The Honorable Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by wishing the mother of the Leader of the Opposition happy birthday. And I'm sure that she's looking at the TV today, Mr. Speaker. Question. I have good news for his mother, Mr. Speaker. We cut our taxes, Mr. Speaker, along with 22 million Canadians. I don't know his mother, Mr. Speaker, but I know in her heart she must be proud of this Liberal government. That we cut taxes, that we're fighting for families, that we're going to build the country of the 21st century. Let's celebrate, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I can confirm he definitely does not know my mother. In fact, my mother knew how to budget better than anyone. She could stretch a dollar farther. In fact, I think she should come in here as the finance... We sure wouldn't have a PBO report showing the government adding $1/3 of $1 trillion of extra deficits. We know that every single dollar this Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of hard-working Canadians. Why don't they know that?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Keeping on the theme of mothers, one thing I know about mothers is that every mother is certain that no child should go hungry. And so it is particularly disappointing to see the members opposite, many of them who I know are mothers as well, voting against the school nutrition program that is making sure that no matter a kid's circumstance, they've got the nutrition to learn and grow. Mr. Speaker, we'll always stand up for Canadian families on this side.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
L'autre chose que ma mère m'a toujours enseigné.
My mother always taught me this, and that was to keep promises. The first promise by the Prime Minister was to spend less, but the PBO's report shows that the government is going to be spending 2/3 more with its inflationary deficit, which is $1/3 billion that will be added to the debt. That's twice as high as Justice Trudeau. It's because of inflation, and it will cause inflation. Why are Canadians who can't even feed their families, why are we going to have to pay off this irresponsible Prime Minister's debt? The Honourable Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, once again, I'd like to say if the opposition leader's mother were listening, I wouldn't want to say that he voted against the child care program. I wouldn't want to tell his mother that he voted against the dental plan. I wouldn't want to tell his mother that he voted against pharmacare. I wouldn't want to tell his mother either that he voted against school food programs. Here on this side of the House, we will always be there for Canadians, and even the opposition leader's mother knows that. The Honourable Member for St. John. Mr. Speaker, Postal Service is an essential service. The federal government's hastily improvised reform of Canada Post completely overlooks this and overlooks thousands of Quebecers. There are seniors who need to get their mail at home, especially those who live in rural areas. There are also people with disabilities who are concerned. Can the government guarantee to all Quebecers that they will continue to receive the door-to-door services they deserve? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. I agree with her fully that the mail is an essential service for Canadians from coast to coast to coast, and that's why we're bringing in reforms that will make Canada Post viable in the long run. When it comes to community postal boxes, there's a service that adapts for the service for older Canadians and for disabled Canadians. We want to make sure that all Canadians still have access to their mail while preserving and protecting the viability long-term of Canada Post. The Honourable Member for St. Jean. Mr. Speaker, the regions are also being abandoned in the federal government's slipshod reform of Canada Post. Ottawa announced today it's ending the moratorium on the closure of rural postal offices, a 30-year setback. However, in remote areas, people depend on Canada Post, particularly for the delivery of meds. We absolutely can't cut back on services in rural areas when that's the only service available. Will the government ensure that Quebecers in the regions are not abandoned? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the short answer is yes, we are going to make sure that all Quebecers and all Canadians in rural and remote areas, in Indigenous communities, have access to Canada Post. That's a priority for our government. And the community boxes were created in the 90s. Many of those areas have now become suburban, but we will certainly preserve service to rural and remote areas. The honourable member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, modernizing Canada Post must not mean abandoning Quebecers in rural areas and people with disabilities. The minister didn't adequately consult Quebecers, and now he's presenting what looks like a sweeping federal reform that doesn't take into account the specific needs on the ground. He must ensure that people with reduced mobility will continue to get their mail at home just as quickly, and there must be no reduction in services in the regions. Will he make that commitment? The Honourable Minister. Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. Currently in Canada, 67% of Canadians get their mail through community mailbox. There are 4 million addresses that need to be transferred to community mailboxes. But during the transition, we will ensure that Canadians with reduced mobility have access to mail services if they can't get to a community box. But I just remind everyone that since 2018, Canada Post has been racking up deficits. It's time to act to save Canada Post.
Member for Thornhill.
Call a person who says one thing in public but admits the exact opposite in private. Most Canadians have their own word for it, but around here in this place, we just call them liberals. The public safety minister admits that his government's gun buyback is a politically motivated scam that just won't work. Those are his words. He's letting convicted criminals roam the streets and shoot up our neighborhoods so he can play politics and pretend that he's actually doing something about it. Everyone behind him is also wondering, when's he getting fired?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the people who are playing politics is the party opposite, Mr. Speaker. They're actually fighting
here we go.
of our buyback program. As you know, Mr. Speaker, this week I had the chance to launch the program in Cape Breton as a pilot. We look forward to its expansion across Canada. We look forward to Canadians surrendering their over 80,000 AR-15s that are in their possession. We need to take dangerous weapons off our streets, Mr. Speaker, and we will do everything we can to support Canadians in that effort.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Speaker, that's a lot of bravado in here and the exact opposite when he thinks nobody is listening. That minister gets caught in a scandal of his own making, and it's so painful for everyone here to watch him pretend like everything's fine. He's going to go ahead and spend $750 million on a confiscation program that he admitted no one will participate in and that won't work. That's less cops on the streets, that's less scanners in the port, that's less money for a leaky border where the guns are actually coming in. So I have one question, and it's for the Prime Minister. Why is he keeping this guy around?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, we have a comprehensive plan to address guns. It starts with the buyback program that we launched this week, Mr. Speaker. It's about investing $1.3 billion at our borders to increase scanning capabilities as well as new tools for law enforcement, Mr. Speaker. It's about hiring 1,000 new CBSA and RCMP officers. It's about Bill C-2, Mr. Speaker, which is right here in the House right now. If the party opposite is serious about guns, they should support C-2 and get its passage to committee, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Ponoka-Didsbury.
In a leaked recording this week, the public safety minister told the truth and admitted his liberal gun grab is a failure. It won't improve public safety, it will be expensive, and it's politically motivated. Then on CTV's Power Play, he refuted his own words, saying that they were in jest. Taking people's property without consulting them isn't funny. Wasting $750 million for the sake of crass politics isn't funny. And demonizing vetted, tested, law-abiding Canadians isn't funny. The only funny thing here is that this minister still has his job. When will the Prime Minister fire him?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, law-abiding citizens abide by the law. We launched a program this week to support those who are law-abiding Canadians to be able to give their AR-15s and other prohibited weapons in order to obtain compensation, Mr. Speaker. It's a fair way to treat law-abiding citizens. It's about ensuring that our streets are safer. It is in line with the work that we're doing at the border with $1.3 billion in investments, Bill C-2, which is before the House today, as well as adding another 1,000 CBSA and RCMP officers.
The honourable member for Selkirk, Interlake Eastman.
Well, senior Iranian government officials were banned from entering Canada in 2022 for gross human rights violations and state-sponsored terrorism. But in June, Border Services still had 66 open cases into Iranian officials right here in Canada. Now we know that the Minister of Public Safety has lost 600 foreign nationals with criminal records, and over 400 of those evading the government are convicted of serious criminality right here in Canada. The Minister has one job: keep Canadians safe. When will the Prime Minister fire this incompetent Public Safety Minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, last year, CBSA removed over 18,000 individuals who are ineligible to be in Canada. This year, we're on target to remove over 20,000 people, Mr. Speaker. The work that our frontline border officers do is incredible, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank them for their work. We're going to be adding another 1,000 CBSA officers to ensure that our borders are even safer and more secure than ever, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Swift Current Grasslands Kindersley.
Mr. Speaker, it didn't take long for Canadians to see the Public Safety Minister fail multiple times at his job. In just 4 months, we found out that he needed to recuse himself from certain discussions on border security. And he's playing politics with a firearm confiscation program that he admits won't work. Now he's lost 600 foreign nationals with criminal records in Canada who were ordered to be deported. This Public Safety Minister can't deliver public safety for Canadians. He's already had 3 strikes. How come he's not out? When will the Prime Minister fire this failed minister?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Monsieur le Président, nous avons...
Mr. Speaker, there were tragedies at the mosque in Quebec, the Polytechnic in Port-à-Pic.
And Canadians have told us very clearly that they want access to assault-style weapons of war to be limited. The one thing that has distinguished this party and that party over the course of all of these tragedies is our willingness to put in measures in place to limit assault weapons and their abject refusal to listen to Canadians and to reason on this issue. They need to listen to Canadians and get serious about assault rifles.
The Honourable Member for... The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, Radio-Canada reports that CBSA intercepted more than 1,500 stolen cars last year at the Port of Montreal, a steady increase in thefts that are linked to African organized crime. This criminal activity includes money laundering from romance scams that are devastating to Quebecers. How does the Prime Minister justify keeping the Public Safety Minister around when he doesn't even understand what's happening in this country, and given that African organized crime is suspected by intelligence services of financing terrorist activities and having links to Hezbollah? Will he have the courage to fire him? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Public Safety has just told this House about the number of incidents in this country. And obviously, he's in control to ensure our public safety. When it comes to firearms, assault-type firearms, Canadians have been clear after Polytechnic, after Port-à-Pic, after the mosque shooting. They don't want this type of weapon out there in the streets. When will the Conservatives see reason and limit access to assault-style weapons? The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Obviously, the Government House Leader didn't understand my question at all. I wasn't talking about firearms. I was talking about car thefts and funding for terrorism. My question is, international organized crime is acting through the Port of Montreal, and they're funding Hezbollah. the public safety minister has done nothing about it. He doesn't even understand what's going on in this country. Will the Prime Minister have the courage to fire that minister now?
Public safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's very clear that the numbers in terms of car thefts are down significantly across Canada, Mr. Speaker. Across Canada, it's down 19% year over year. We've invested in the border at $1.3 billion. We've invested in new scanners. We've invested in new equipment that will ensure that those items that are going out of the country are inspected more frequently, Mr. Speaker. We're investing in another 1,000 RCMP officers. We will ensure that the border is more secure than at any other time, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, the Quebec government announced it wants to prevent the Hells Angels from displaying their colours. But Quebec would not need to take action if the federal government did its job and banned patches in the criminal code, which comes exclusively under federal jurisdiction. The Bloc even introduced a bill along those lines in 2017. All parties voted against it. Quebec, once again, is therefore forced to do the federal government's job because no party here has the courage to tackle organized crime. Will the government finally take responsibility and ban wearing the symbols of organized crime? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I start, I'd like to thank my colleague for the question. As members know full well, we introduced a new bill to protect communities from hate.
Speaker, includes the criminalization of the willful promotion of hatred using specific hate symbols. Of course, as the honourable member knows, the decisions as to which groups that are included are subjected to the terrorist organizations listed in the criminal code, which it does and should reflect the independent advice of the national security apparatus in this country. Thank you.
The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, Bill C9 would ban wearing the swastika. It also would ban wearing symbols associated with groups on the list of terrorist entities. But the government doesn't have the courage to do exactly the same thing with organized crime, like the Hells Angels. Their patches represent organized crime, murder, and the rise in gang violence that worries all Quebecers. Seems to me that this is a hateful enough symbol that the Liberals should ban it. What are they waiting for? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, the bill specifically includes symbols that intentionally promote hate, including Nazi symbols, and at the same time, the symbols of terrorist organizations.
The decisions as to which organizations are treated as terrorist organizations in this country are made independently by the national security apparatus. However, should the honourable member wish to put this to the parliamentarians through the committee process, he has something he can do, vote in support of this legislation, send to committee, and say his piece in front of all members.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
Justin Trudeau tried to make groceries the most expensive in Canadian history. This Prime Minister said, "Hold my champagne." In August, food inflation outpaced overall inflation by 84%. And now the Parliamentary Budget Officer said the deficit could soar to $70 billion. It's these Liberal deficits that fuel the inflation tax that made grocery prices go up. Why is this Prime Minister so obsessed with making grocery prices more expensive than Justin Trudeau did?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, the school nutrition program is saving Canadian families on average $800 a year in food costs, Mr. Speaker, and that's just one example of the work that we've been doing to ensure that Canadians have an affordable quality of life. Mr. Speaker, the dental care plan in my riding is changing the lives of small business owners and artists who have gone for many years without dental care and who just for the very first time have been able to access affordable dental care. That's the kind of support the families expect, and that's what they get with the Liberal government.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
That food program is feeding bureaucracy and not kids. This finance minister made a grand show, said he was going to haul in all the grocery store CEOs and tell them what was on his mind and say, "Hey, buddy, you better lower the grocery prices or else." Then he doubled the deficit, making inflation go up, making food prices soar, and sending 2 million Canadians into a food bank. Why doesn't this finance minister haul in the real inflation culprit, the guy that sits beside him, the so-called budget expert, tell him to stop ballooning the deficit so food prices can actually come down?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if they won't believe us, maybe they will believe an actual kid. A grade 7 kid actually said this: an investment in healthy school food is a good idea because the healthier the kids, the healthier the society. School food matters to me.
Excuse me. Please, colleagues. I would like to hear what that 12-year-old had to say as well. So from the top, please.
Speaker, when a grade 7...
Please. Colleagues. A moment, Minister. I can't hear you. We're going to start from the top on that, so go ahead, please.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's start with the voice of a child, advocating for other children in this country. This is what this grade 7 Canadian young person said: an investment in healthy school food is a good idea because the healthier the kids, the healthier the society. School food matters to me because kids should be healthy. And you know what, Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud of that empathetic grade 7 student who knows that young people in schools deserve the best chance at success. It's more than I can say for these Conservatives who are actually laughing at the compassion of children in our country.
The Honourable Member for Brandon Souris.
That minister is so out of touch because she doesn't understand that those kids still are hungry every evening and every weekend and every summer holiday because their parents can't afford to put food on the table because of this Liberal government's inflationary deficits that are driving up food costs 48% faster in Canada than in the United States since this Prime Minister took office. The Prime Minister asked to be judged by the cost at the grocery store, and we're well past Judgment Day. Money printing deficits plus record high food bank use plus Canadians skipping meals equal an F for this Liberal government. Will the Liberals vote for our Conservative motion to cut their inflationary taxes on food prices for Canadians today?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we just witnessed something pretty shocking in this House. Yep. We had first the finance critic for the Conservatives stand up and say we are creating bureaucracies rather than feeding children. Well, I would like him to come to the elementary school where I help serve breakfast to young kids and show him the yogurt and the orange slices and the eggs that are handed out to those children every day. And to this member, no, we won't.
To show off the future generations being dependent on your government? Like, that's not something to be excited about, buddy.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabaska. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister said that Canadians can judge him by costs at the grocery store. The PBO has revealed that the deficit will be double that was promised 6 months ago. The Prime Minister, globe-trotting Prime Minister, has said that every dollar he spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. And the Prime Minister, does he realize that these broken promises, by doubling the deficit, will make grocery prices skyrocket? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, since the question of food at schools, is being studied today, I'd like to ask my colleague to remember that the Quebec Breakfast Club, it was an excellent organization that goes out to schools, provides oranges, yogurt, eggs, waffles, and sometimes we could invite them to see the member to see what the impact on the ground is, to see how young people live at our schools. This is support that Canadians wish, and not just Conservative rhetoric. The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, I have no lessons to learn from him. I have just established assistance for food in my school with friends, so I think he has no lessons to give. The Prime Minister told Canadians that they should judge him by cost at the grocery store. Unfortunately for him, it's a total failure. Beef is up 33, soup 26, coffee 22%. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has failed, as has his team. It's the same Liberal team. Will the Prime Minister make a respectful budget? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, my colleague will not only produce a respectful budget, but also a generational one that will provide job opportunities and economic growth and build this beautiful country. And I would ask the member if he would like to feed and provide school food programs to rise and to challenge his whip, who probably hasn't even met, and tell him that he will be voting. I would invite him to rise for people in his riding and in mind and to support our school food program in Canada.
The honourable member for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Mr. Speaker, OCM, Canadians across the country are preparing to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th. This is an opportunity for us all to commemorate the history and legacy of residential schools and to honor survivors and their families. Can the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations share with us the importance of this day and how Canadians can do their part to address the legacy of the residential school system and advance reconciliation?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to my colleague for the great question and the great work in his riding. On the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, we honor the children who never returned home and stand with survivors, their families, and communities living with the legacy of residential schools. In response to Call to Action number 80, this day was established as a federal statutory holiday in 2021. Since then, our government has supported hundreds of community events every September 30th, including 339 this Tuesday across the country. I encourage my colleagues and all Canadians to participate in ceremonies or events in their communities to reflect, remember, and recommit to the ongoing work of reconciliation.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar this Prime Minister spends adds to the deficit and pushes the price of food higher for Canadian families. In fact, the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed the deficit will be higher than he promised just 6 months ago. Runaway deficits drive up the price of everything we buy. It's a tax on working families. The Prime Minister said we could judge him by the prices at the grocery store. When will the Prime Minister finally admit that this is another broken promise?
Well done.
Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, from someone who has actually put together budgets in the private sector versus a Conservative leader who has never done it, I'm proud to stand with
Where
the
is it,
government
pal?
that's gonna deliver
Where is it,
plan on
Wayne?
November 4th.
We've been waiting. You keep saying November 4th, but you should have had it already by now. All this experience. Come on.
G7. Mr. Speaker, that leader and that party opposite has fought against every affordable measure we have put forward. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountain.
Well, regardless of the career of that member, the harsh reality is Newfoundland and Labrador families are struggling just to eat. Nearly 40% of children live in food insecure households, and single-parent families experience a 56% food insecurity rate. That's the highest in the country. That's thousands of kids and parents depending on food banks just to get by. Meanwhile, food prices continue to climb. Does the Prime Minister understand his broken promises and skyrocketing deficits are making food unaffordable for all families?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague in the opposition from Newfoundland and Labrador for the opportunity to celebrate a very successful fishery in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Hear, hear.
Northern cod, increased quotas. I visited communities, spoke with harvesters, visited processors, spoke with plant workers. This is economic boost for rural Newfoundland and Labrador. And I'd like to invite the colleague from Long Range Mountains to work with this government to encourage young people to see the fisheries as a viable future. There is so much to celebrate.
The honourable member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, I hear it every day. The calls, the emails, the letters. We cannot afford food. The Daily Bread Food Bank expects 4 million people to visit. 4 million people. That's a lot of Canadians in despair. And today, the Parliamentary Budget Officer confirmed that the deficit will be double of Justin Trudeau. That is the reckless spending that drives up inflation and increases the food of everything we buy. And the Prime Minister himself said that he would be judged by the price at the grocery store. Well, he has failed, completely and undeniably. When will this Liberal government stop emptying the wallets of Canadians to cover for their failures?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Studies show that school food programs improve student health and mental health. They also improve learning outcomes, better grades in science, math, and reading. Mr. Speaker, those healthy meals in schools can also save a family up to $200 a month. That's a real solution for affordability and for health for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. So why did the Conservatives, when they had the chance to vote for healthy school food, vote against it? And then why did the member from Calgary East just now talk down all those programs that are supporting tens of thousands of kids in Alberta and hundreds of thousands of kids right across Canada?
The honourable member for Lethbridge.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, Canadians can't afford to feed themselves. Printing money has resulted in inflation tax, which has driven up the cost of food. The Liberals' industrial carbon tax has increased the cost of farming, which has driven up the cost of food. And food packaging tax installed by this Liberal government has also driven up the cost of food. Families are struggling, and the hardest hit among them are children. In Lethbridge, food bank use among kids is up 150% just in the last 4 years. 150%. Enough is enough. Will the Liberals support the Conservative motion to scrap the tax on food?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the honourable member opposite for her question. It is clear that this government has consistently stood by and supported families. We know they need support, they have asked for it, and the results of the previous election show that the plan and the commitment to support families, in particular children as well, is a strong record here and a strong plan that we are delivering on. We have a national school food program. We have a national dental care program. We have a Canada Child Benefit. And I would encourage members to support us in making that national school food program permanent. Thank you.
The honourable member for Lethbridge.
The member says that this Liberal government has stood by and supported families. Direct quote. I'd like her to tell that to Scott. Scott is in my riding. He has children and a wife. He works hard, but he finds it very difficult to make ends meet. We recently got off the phone, and he was telling me on that call that he's struggling to feed his family. And in fact, he and his wife are down to 1 meal a day in order to make sure that his kids get enough food and their bills can get paid. This is a hard-working family that isn't able to make it happen for them. They're struggling. What would this member have me tell Scott and his family?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Youth, Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a number of supports for children, for families, including a national school food program, including a dental program, including the Canada Child Care Benefit. I would encourage the member to vote in favor and support these programs that do deliver meaningful support to families across the country, not only in her riding, but in mine and in all of ours across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Regina Bluevan.
How do they not understand if they stopped taxing Canadians to death, you wouldn't need the program? After 10 years of the Liberal government's reckless spending, prices of groceries continue to rise.
That
The PM
right
said
there,
you'd be
ladies
judged
and
by the
gentlemen.
cost at the grocery store. while among Saskatchewan children, 35% live in food insecure households. When will these Liberals scrap their industrial carbon tax, scrap their second carbon tax, scrap their food packaging taxes so Canadians can afford to feed their own kids?
Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Mr. Le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
I want to point out from the Saskatchewan perspective, Mr. Speaker, people are celebrating the hundreds of thousands of homes we're building for families across the country. That celebrates Saskatchewan as well. And then we have the lunch program, as indicated, and all the support for different types of family across this great country, Mr. Speaker. So again, Mr. Speaker, from the federal government perspective, we're going to be there for families, and that includes Saskatchewan.
Honourable Member for Regina Louvain.
This Northern Saskatchewan MP has abandoned his constituents faster than any MP I've ever seen. He voted in favor of a gun buyback program so his people could not hunt on their own land, Mr. Speaker. So the fact that he got up and voted in favor of a gun buyback program, supports that program, and then the fact that there is 259% increase in food bank usage in Saskatchewan, despite them not having the ability to feed themselves, he wants to stand and take credit for Liberal programs. He should support Saskatchewan people and not his Liberal lapdogs.
The Honourable Secretary of State for
They're barking at the Liberals.
for combating crime.
Mr. Speaker, the member references the compensation program for firearms. Mr. Speaker, these firearms have been prohibited for the last several years. I want to thank the responsible gun owners that have stored these guns safely and now are waiting for a plan. And in this plan, they will be compensated for those firearms that are now prohibited, Mr. Speaker. I believe that this plan will get assault-style firearms out of our communities, which is essential and important. There is no place for these types of weapons in Canada.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Breaking news in a bombshell report from Canada's independent fiscal watchdog. The Liberal government deficits are exploding. This means even bigger pile of debt for Canadians and also means higher prices on everything. Grocery prices are already up 70% over target, but the Liberals' plan is just to add more fuel to the fire. Our debt is exploding, our economy is shrinking, and the government's cupboards are bare. Why is this Prime Minister going ahead with his crazy budget to double the deficit and send even more Canadians to food banks?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the Conservatives have been for the last 4 months, but we are laser focused on delivering affordability for Canadians. We've cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We cut the GST for first-time homebuyers. Interest rates are down. And through Build Canada Homes, we're going to build homes at a scale not seen since the Second World War. It's time for the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric. Get on board. Join us.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Every dollar that this Liberal Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of hard-working Canadians. And never have they spent so much to achieve so little. The Liberals lit a pile of money on fire to give us record food bank usages and grocery store prices that are 40% higher than before. The budget watchdog says that the Liberal deficits will now be twice the size of Justin Trudeau's. Will the Liberals change course and vote for our Conservative motion to stop the Liberal taxes on food?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is building bridges internationally, and I have good news for Canadians. We just signed a generational trade agreement with Indonesia, the fourth largest country in the world. Over 275 million potential consumers, the fastest growing middle class that's looking to buy Canadian products, Mr. Speaker. This is another concrete example of how our international efforts are opening new doors for Canadian workers and businesses in communities across Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just a little reminder to members, un petit rappel, là, il faut pas...
A reminder Please do not bang on the desks because it can cause an acoustic shock accident for interpreters. The honourable member for the Les Pays d'en Haut. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard directly from the National Defence Committee about the remarkable work by the Canadian Armed Forces across Canada, and I was able to see yesterday this in person. While Canada is making generational investment in national defense, can the minister tell us how we're going to strengthen our military presence in Canada and across the world? The Honourable Minister of National Defence. Mr. Speaker, we know that our partners want to see Canada play a much bigger role internationally. Yesterday, we signed a new trade agreement with Indonesia to strengthen the participation of Canadian Armed Forces in military exercises in the Indo-Pacific region. And this deal also will help to create jobs. Thanks to this new agreement, we will see the armed forces at their best in this region. Thank you.
For Langley Township, Fraser Height.
The Prime Minister says to judge him by the cost of groceries. Well, the data is in and it's not looking so good for him. The Parliamentary Budget Office says that this Prime Minister's spending is going to outpace even Trudeau's reckless inflationary spending, driving up the cost of groceries. For seniors, Myrna from Langley says, I worked and planned for my retirement my entire life, and I was taking everything I have to live. So Myrna and many seniors want to know if this Prime Minister is going to stop eating their lunch with this never-ending cycle of inflationary spending and deficits.
Yeah. The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, seniors who built this country should never have to choose between paying for groceries or heating their homes. I speak to seniors at my home riding in Esquimalt, Saanich in British Columbia all the time, and they are proud of what this government is doing, that we've taken action that actually helps seniors in this country to age with dignity. We're cutting red tape. We're building homes faster. We're providing dental care for seniors that more than 2 million have already signed up for. On this side of the House, we have a great record. On that side of the House, they have a record of pushing retirement age higher, cutting benefits, and leaving seniors behind. Over here, seniors can trust this government.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the PM said Canadians would judge them by the cost of the food at the grocery store. Because of Liberal spending, the average 2 bags of groceries now cost $150. You used to be able to fill 2 carts for that. According to the Waterloo Regional Food Bank, in the first half of September alone, over 15,000 people accessed their services. When will this Prime Minister show some understanding and urgency instead of constant deflection and delay while increasing deficits?
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about our success stories on this side of the stage. Our new government has focused on empowering Northern and Arctic communities with Indigenous-led solutions that work in the North. For example, in Inuvialuit Country Food Plant is distributing harvested muskox, reindeer, fish, and berries so families can count on country food year-round. Also, the Harvester Support Program has backed over 5,500 harvesters with freezers, fuel, gear, and keeping local food flowing and shared. These stories will keep growing because we're
The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, in my riding, grocery prices are skyrocketing. So, the prize for young farmers in 2024, well, I asked him, the person who won it, he said new regulations year after year, transportation costs that are skyrocketing, carbon tax. All of this means that farmers are paying the price and families are too. The Liberals need to cut tax and red tape to allow food to be affordable.
Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, a couple of weeks ago I had the opportunity to tour Strathcona Imperial Oil Complex in Alberta. And I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, that what they're doing out there to transform canola seed into biofuel is unprecedented. one company in Canada, and they're working towards reducing GHG emissions, Mr. Speaker, and utilizing our own canola seed to present something back to Canada, to our citizens, that is really effective in reducing GHG emissions in this country. Kudos to Imperial Oil.
The honourable member for Cumberland Colchester.
Mr. Speaker, this week we mark Gender Equality Week, a time meant to recognize the progress we've made and the work that still lies ahead. Will the Minister of Women and Gender Equality and the Secretary of State for Small Business and Tourism please speak to what our new government is doing to advance equality and create a more equitable and safe Canada for everyone?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable colleague for that question. This week is a time to reflect on our accomplishments and also the progress we have yet to make. Our government has implemented initiatives to help support women entrepreneurs. We implemented the National Action Plan to end gender-based violence, and we implemented pay equity legislation to level the playing field for women. Now, we recognize there's more work to do, and that is why our government will introduce this fall legislation that will ensure the safety of women so they can equally participate in society. Mr. Speaker, we understand on this side of the House that we cannot build the strongest economy in the G7 without the full and equal participation of women.
The honourable member for Edmonton South East.
Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister said Canadians would judge him by the cost at the grocery store. But after 10 years of the same Liberal government, Canadians cannot afford to eat because of taxes on food. Edmonton Food Bank use has been double in the last 5 years. Prices of sugar is up by 20%, coffee is up by 22%, grapes are up by 24%. This is because of Liberal taxes on food packaging and carbon taxes on fertilizers. Will the Liberals adopt Conservative motion and stop taxing on food?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, on November 4th, we're going to table a plan that's going to spend less in government operations so we can invest in our country. We're going to build and invest in nation-building projects. We're going to create and build the strongest economy in the G7. We believe in affordability. The party opposite doesn't. I ask them to cut the rhetoric, get on board, join with us. Thank you.
The honourable member for Rosemount-La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, well, things weren't already going well, but now they're worse. In July, we lost 41,000 jobs. In August, we lost 66,000 jobs. The youth unemployment rate is at around 15%. This summer, student unemployment was 18%. And with the housing and climate crises, it's no surprise that young people have lost hope in the future. When will the Liberals finally invest in renewable energy? And when will this government wake up and create good, green, unionized jobs? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the member, has provided a long list. Yes, unemployment for youth. We will be tabling a generational budget, but he'll have the opportunity to support this budget that will create opportunities and employment and affordability, capabilities and housing for our young people. But in terms of support for renewable energy and technologies, obviously, this is something that characterizes our government, and we'll continue to invest, and Canada will lead the world in green tech, renewable energy. The honourable member for Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. Not young person will be reassured by that. But, Mr. Speaker, the home renovation program is very popular, and with reason, because it lowers heating bills for families and it's good for the environment. People are changing their insulation, doors and windows, and solar panels, etc. But on October 1st, next week, there won't be a penny left in this program. And what are the Liberals doing? Nothing. They won't be putting money in it. Too bad for the environment and for families who wanted to renovate. They'll just have to figure it out themselves. Will the Liberals invest in this program that helps families? The Honourable Minister of the Environment. Mr. Speaker, it gives me the opportunity to talk about how we work well with the provinces to provide resources to Canadians who want to renovate their homes and to make them more eco-efficient. So 2 weeks ago already, I was in Manitoba, and we're working for poor Canadians to make these renovations without paying a cent. And now in Ontario, we're helping people to do their renovations as well with the province. We'll be working to help Canadians every day.
I would like to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of His Excellency Micheál Martin, Taoiseach of Ireland. I invite all honourable members to join the Taoiseach and me in the Speaker's Salon, room 233S, immediately following question period for a reception in his honour. I don't know.
All right, so
I believe we'll give it a moment, and we'll give it a moment. Where's the other speaker? I don't know who the next.
all right, so that was question period. I don't know if there's going to be a motion or if they're just going to go right to House of Commons proceedings. They keep muting and unmuting the House. So.
Sure. Okay, if members could leave the chamber quietly and quickly, so that we can proceed with the Thursday question, which we all look forward to every week. Okay. Again, if members could leave quietly. I believe the Honourable Opposition House Leader has a question for the Government House Leader.
Did he get benched?
Yes, I think he did get benched.
Did he?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
Buckley got benched.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I know the Government House Leader wouldn't want to evade the Thursday question. I know that this is probably the highlight of his week as we work towards the end of every week. Thursday is the day where the opposition gets to ask the Government House Leader what the business for the rest of this week and next week will be. And I'm hoping the Minister will tell us when his government will end the obstruction and finally bring in legislation to undo the Liberal bail system problems that cause the crime and chaos that is terrorizing Canadians in their communities. We've been here now for 2 weeks. It's almost as if they didn't do anything this summer, Mr. Speaker. They certainly weren't listening to police associations who were demanding these changes come in. They certainly weren't listening to opposition MPs who have tabled common sense legislation that would do that for them. So in the interest of nonpartisanship, I wonder if the Honourable House Leader will tell us, will he work with us and quickly fast-track Conservative laws? If they won't bring legislation to the House themselves, will they at least get out of the way so that Conservative bills can pass and make Canadians safe?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I want to assure my honourable colleague of my great affection for the Thursday question and our weekly rendezvous, and I appreciate that. As the member well knows, we've made a strong and firm commitment to bringing in legislation to reform bail in this session, and the member opposite might be careful what he asks for, because he will have the opportunity to vote for strong, crime-fighting, Liberal legislation in this House, and will be absolutely earnestly seeking his support and that of his colleagues. Mais cet après-midi, Monsieur le
But this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, we will be continuing debate on the Conservative Party's opposition motion, and tomorrow we will begin second reading of Bill C-8, the Act respecting the protection of essential cyber systems.
Adjourned on Monday and Tuesday of next week to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Upon our return on Wednesday, we'll resume debate at second reading of Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to inform the House that Thursday of next week shall be an allotted day. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. I wish to inform the House the volume of the earpieces will now be reset. Orders of the day.
All right, that's going to do it for today's live stream, guys. Question period has come to a close, and they are going to continue on with proceedings. There really hasn't been any updates with the whole Russia-NATO situation after Russia claimed that NATO claimed they declared war through Ukraine by supporting them. That's a whole thing going on right now. Apparently, over the week, jets and drones and all this stuff has been found in NATO airspace, and jets have been scrambled. Not today, but over the past few days it's been happening. I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen next, but crazy stuff nonetheless. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from, and I will be live next Monday for Question Period. Have a good one, everyone.
Famous Snowbirds Air Demonstration Team, Mr. Speaker, but it is also home